Hello and welcome back to Talk Scottish Football. We're back in the beautiful G4 podcast studio. You'll notice there's only two of us today. No threesome on the books. Just what could be your kind of name?
I don't know. We are the
Dudley brothers,
the Dudley boys of Scottish football. You can be Devon. I'll be Bubba Ray.
If we talk a wee bit of nonsense at any points or we get anything wrong, please don't crucify us in the comment section below, because it's TSF after dark.
It's quarter to 11 at night.
Quarter to 11 at night. Do you know what I mean? Like, me and David are hard working boys. You know, full time. You know, Mrs.
Grafting.
Wayne.
Well, I mean,
that's
just me.
But we're up here the night because schedule's only allowed for this, and we're here to give a quick summary of the.
I'm not sure it'll be quick.
No, it won't be really quick, and
I want to go in depth on this.
Definitely. Shall we just kind of fly over the first two results then, because you already kind of gave your thoughts on the first game, did the live match reaction. Moldova.
I wasn't on that.
Well, you know?
No, I wasn't.
Sorry. I love watching TSF when I'm on it.
You probably didn't want to hear my thoughts after that, because I was saying the dump on the way here. I was down the dumps. I was in a bad way football wise over the last week or so. You know, my team have been pissed for weeks, and I was just feeling a little bit. You know, when like you just can't be arsed watching football. And you start to watch games and you'll just pick up the negatives rather than any positives.
I felt that for 10 years, Davey.
Yeah, so that's what I've been like recently. Up until tonight, just to further the context of this time of recording, Scotland finished their game in Austria just over an hour ago.
Yes, victory in Vienna.
Victorious. Good night, Vienna, baby. It was a 1-0 win for Scotland. Lyndon Dykes with the only goal of the game. I don't really think that we should dwell too much on the previous two games, because it's kind of old news now.
Yeah.
And I want this to be a really positive episode, because that's how I'm feeling. And that was a wonderful away performance by Scotland.
Yeah. It really reminded me of Serbia. You know, that night in Belgrade, but better.
Yeah.
But better.
Because we didn't almost throw it away, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the different pieces in this team was the boy Billy Gilmour in the middle. We said it in the way over. I mean, he's just world class. We said it before he even had his debut. Me and David sat in the previous studio.
We took a bit of stick for that.
We did. You know,
the previous studio, my
previous studio, his living room. The feature shall never be revealed.
No,
it will get the show cancelled.
Yeah, I would say so
for sure. But no, look, Billy Gilmour, he took a wee bit of stick in the group chat. There was a couple of boys saying in the first game, in the first half, he was slow, he kind of get going. Picked it up in the second half against Denmark, you know. He get man of the match in the Moldova game. And then again, versus Austria, I thought he was outstanding. You know, the moment that really stuck out to me was when the ball was away in the air, he plucks it out majestically. Arnautovic chases him down. He flies into a 50-50 with the boy, wins it, and then Arnautovic leaves one on him as well, because he knew that the young buck got one over on him there.
He was phenomenal.
It was amazing.
He was one of just a number of phenomenal performances for Scotland tonight. I'll be honest, I think I put on Twitter we were all over the place, and that was after the first 5 minutes. And thinking back there, I think it was a little bit harsh. I just thought Austria came out the traps fantastically. They started so well. We couldn't get out, actually, first 5-10 minutes, really. We could not get out of our box. We defended cross balls brilliantly in that period, as we did for the remainder of that game. But once we started to get the ball and control it a little bit, it's no coincidence that, you know, I think if you think of our last brilliant away performance, it was Wembley, and the midfield two was Callum McGregor and Billy Gilmour. I think it's no coincidence that was the same tonight. 9 of that team started at Wembley. Marshall and McTominay, the ones who were missing tonight. I just thought we looked like a really, really good team. You know, all the way through. There was times in the game where, you know, I thought we could really hurt them getting forward, you know, with numerous avenues of attack. You know, Dykes was doing well up front. Adams looked really, really sharp. Robbo was getting down well. O'Donnell, who, we'll come on to. Then Broddick wasn't always great, but what an outball he gave us throughout. And the midfield were just brilliant. And it's really pleasing to me to see a Scotland team at times in a tough European away game to hold on to the ball, you know, and keep the ball and look comfortable doing that. And I think Billy Gilmour is the star yet again, but I think Callum McGregor was every bit as good. Yeah,
they complemented each other really well. It could be the start of a kind of good partnership going forward there.
Hope so.
Definitely. See, when I watched the Denmark game in the first half especially, I was looking at Denmark and I was thinking to myself, they all seem to be on the same wavelength, and Scotland just don't have that. I mean, they're taking 2 or 3 touches, they're not getting out their feet, they don't know where each other are running and such, whereas Denmark do. And I'm thinking to myself, how are Scotland like that? How can they know find that? But in this game, You know, he says 9 out of the 11 started versus England. Potentially that's one of our strongest teams.
Yeah.
That team looked like they knew where each other were going to be. Billy Gilmore was flicking it round the corner. It was a wee bit of boyfriend football as well between Billy Gilmore and Callum McGregor at points, just keeping the ball beautifully as well. Andy Robertson,
I thought it was really good.
marauding left back up and down. We could just go through every kind of player because they were all outstanding to a man, and they done a great job.
Absolutely. There's one of these games you could just talk about because there's so much to be happy about. I thought Robertson was brilliant. I thought Tierney was fantastic. Kieran Tierney is normally the one going forward that we're going, wow, he's unbelievable. He didn't really get forward at all, but that's not a slight on him whatsoever. It was very much the way we had to play tonight. I thought he was absolutely outstanding defensively. Winning headers. There was one right in the first 5 minutes. He wins a brilliant header. The entire back three. Grant Hanley. Do you remember when he came back into the squad at the start of the year? Everyone went, what the fuck's Hanley doing back in the squad? He has been our best central defender since then. Yeah, I can't remember having a bad game. I think he's been so solid.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Grant Hanley because he got a booking. Dubious for me. I don't think it was a yellow card. I actually thought the referee was quite poor. He was inconsistent in the game. That yellow card means that he is missing the next game, which is versus Israel. And as you say, maybe a few months ago, if you were told, Grant Hanley's at the next game, you're going to be too fussed. But
thank God.
That's going to be a big miss for sure for Scotland.
Yeah, I think so. Jack Hendry as well. I said it to you in the car on the way here. He looked an £8.6 million defender tonight to me. He looks really, really good. The one criticism...
That's mental.
It is mental. You wouldn't... If you'd have said that a year ago, you'd have laughed. But the one criticism of Jack Hendry has always been, he tries to be too much of a modern defender. He always wants to try and play, and he's not maybe focused so much on being a central defender. I mean, he was just brilliant tonight, defensively, like proper old school defensively, fantastic. And the biggest thing about him that I think is great is his recovery pace. I think is absolutely vital. You've got a back three there who are all quite quick. Grant Hanley's surprisingly quick. I just thought they were brilliant. I don't think you can fault them.
See, a centre half, I was saying it the way over as well, to go back to Hendry. When they're, making those what look to be easy headers, easy interceptions and all the rest of it might go under the radar for you watching, but that's all about positioning. Yeah. And that is... I thought that was a very mature performance for Hendry there, because see when they're diving in and all that, he tackles, it looks good, but maybe they've been caught out of position.
This is something that I say a lot about Stephen Welsh at Celtic just now. Stephen Welsh is doing a lot on that, and he's making great tackles and stuff at times, but sometimes it's recovering for a bad positional thing. Yeah. And that happens to a lot of young defenders, and Hendry's been guilty of that in the past. It's like the Paolo Maldini thing. He always said if he had to tackle, he'd made a mistake. If you had to go to ground, and there is some truth to that. I think as a central defender, positioning is the most important attribute. Yeah, he
must have been outstanding in Belgium last year for the top dogs to go and get him for that fee.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be playing against PSG in a week's time.
I know.
So
fair play to him, because he's turned it right around.
He has made that position his own now, I think. Yeah. Because let's
talk about that then. Scott McTominay, of course, was missing from this squad. Yeah. Where do you fit him in now? Of course he's in the squad because he's a really good player and all that, but where does he play?
He doesn't get in the starting 11 for me just now. I think we've finally got a defence. I know Hanley's missing the next game and it's enforced, but I think we've finally got a defensive three that is settled, complement each other and look really, really good. I think you'd be foolish to change that. McTominay's done alright at right centre half. I think, listen, I love Scott McTominay. He's kind of just he's a bit of a cult hero with the Tartan Army now. But, there's been a lot of games where he's played there and he's made big mistakes for goals as well at times. And you think the Serbia goal, it's his man. Yeah.
Which you're going to get, of course, when playing that position.
You've got a midfielder playing at centre half. And there have been times where he's played in midfield and he's just not looked comfortable. It doesn't seem to...
Yeah, in that kind of sixth position where Billy Gilmore plays, he doesn't want to go and get
I feel harsh saying that because I don't think it's necessarily his fault. I just think that the midfield three tonight complement each other so brilliantly. You've got two there who are... everyone always says you need a defensive midfielder. I wouldn't say either of those two players are defensive, but they're so good at retaining the ball and using the ball that they almost defend when we're in possession, if that makes sense. Yeah. So like McGregor will have the ball and you'll look up and you'll find Gilmore, and the two of them will keep the ball for about 30 seconds and just calm things down. And it'll stop the quick turnover, which is really, really good. I don't know how he gets into that midfield. Listen, international football is a squad game. He will still play. But yeah, I think that tonight was probably as close to what I would say is the strongest Scotland team we have just now.
Yeah, and I think Lyndon Dykes answered a lot of questions as well. He was a guy who was in
magic form at club level.
Yeah, he's been brilliant, and there was a lot of people questioning him even being in the squad, never mind in the starting 11. We scored 2 goals over the course of the international break. He was a man that scored the 2 goals. talk about the penalty a wee bit. Greatest penalty in history. Bottom corner a minute. Bottom left, was it?
As long as it goes in the net, I don't care.
Under Daniel Bachman.
Smashed it
Steve
in.
Clark's man.
The VAR decision was bizarre. I didn't think it was going to be a penalty kick.
No.
But the more I watch it, the more I think, yeah, that's the right decision. Because it's one of those where you would moan. I used to always moan at referees for not giving them, because you'd say no wonder players go to ground if you're not going to. Because Adams goes to the ground theatrically, the legs come away. That contact doesn't take his legs away.
Only because he was so honest for so long as well, as you say. The guy was all over the back of him.
The interesting thing, he goes down once he knows he's not getting the ball anymore.
Yeah.
But it's still a penalty kick. He's all over him. Should
Like
have been a second yellow as well, which would have really changed the context.
Yeah,
of the game.
I thought the second yellow would have been a wee bit harsh,
He's not played
considering
the ball,
it was quite. No, but I think it would have been a wee bit harsh. The double whammy, the penalty and the yellow card. But we didn't need them down to 10 men anyway. Handled them, swept them aside. That's Austria. We're not playing them again. No, that's 4 points to put context to the group now. Scotland are now in second position miraculously, because the mood going into these games was low. After the Denmark result, it was even low, and then the Moldova. But now it seems to be right back up on second position. We go into the next round of fixtures. It's Israel, Moldova, Faroe Islands.
It's got to be 9 points.
It's got to be 9 points.
And if it is 9 points, you're getting a playoff place for the World Cup.
Yeah.
No, genuinely, when you think about
and
that.
now we've got to Qatar. I mean, I put in Twitter, I was like, Scotland are going, and listen, I'll hold my hands up, Scotland are going nowhere with Steve Clark, but who could have foreseen that type of performance tonight?
So this is the thing, and it's something I said to mental. You. I've been critical of Steve Clark recently, and I'm 100% not shitting the bed and coming away from what I'm saying, because I think that I don't think things have been good enough since Serbia. Going into that game tonight, we'd only won 2 games in competitive football, and it was Moldova and the Faroes at home. So it hasn't been good enough. But that when Steve Clark got the job, I was excited because I thought he will bring performances and results like what we saw tonight. Fair play to him, he got his team selection spot on. I also think that this is something I've been very critical of him for. He got his substitution spot on tonight as well. Yeah. If you remember Serbia, he almost cost us that game.
He brought on Ollie McBurney and Callum Patterson up front.
Patterson for John McGinn and Lyndon Dykes that night, and almost killed us.
Both of them were having the game of their lives.
But he got it spot on tonight, so absolutely fair play to him. Who else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about Stephen O'Donnell quickly.
Yeah, Stephen O'Donnell, I've seen as well to yourself.
His end product tonight was hopeless for the large part. Yeah. He was very unlucky, I think, with the shot he had. But what I will say is he defended fantastically. He's not played football recently. He's not been playing
for a month. His first game in 4 weeks.
Yeah, he's had lots. He's only playing tonight because Patterson and Fraser weren't fit. He wouldn't have played if either of them were fit, I don't think. He come in, he's the most maligned player we have, and time again he does put in big performances for us. He did it at Wembley and he did it again tonight. Now listen, there's times where he's in the attacking positions and he makes the wrong choice, fine, but his willingness to get up and down is just brilliant, and he's such an outball for us. Times where we're maybe under a little bit of pressure, he's on, and whether it's a diag for an aerial battle or whatever, or just the ball, and fair play to him. I thought he was brilliant again. I'm almost glad he went down with a wee injury at the end, because I thought he needed to come off at that point because his race was absolutely run. But what a shift he put in.
That was nice to see as well, the McGinn brothers playing together.
Yeah, that's nice.
Must have been a proud day for the road man.
Mrs.
They were just missing the third brother.
Mrs. McGinn is producing more players for the national team than the SFA performance schools are, so fair play to her.
It's equal now, I think. Patterson he played well as well in the last game.
He did do.
So the mood is just up there.
Great. I said to you when I got in the car, I was like just buzzing, delighted, and I wasn't sure. I wasn't that fussed. I was feeling a bit shy about football, and as the game went on, I was like, God, I really care about this now. I really want us to win. I really want us to win. And they get that free kick right at the end, which was never a handball, by the way. I'm thinking, oh, here we go, another typical Scotland hard luck story, and I'm so fed up with them. But it went over the bar. Craig Gordon as well. You made a really good point.
I was saying the way over, like when Scotland went ahead, you fancy yourself because you have got somebody between the six, like Craig Gordon, who did pop up.
Saving him.
Yeah, he popped up with a good save, a routine save for him.
Yeah.
His positional sense made it a routine save, and John McGinn ends up poking it away out of danger. So
how good you feel was he in the last 30 seconds?
He just gets that big bounder
bursts down the line, right? And you think he's going to hold it in the corner, skins the man, runs into the box and turns around and goes back towards the corner again. It was brilliant.
Classic shithousery for McGinn.
What a result, what a performance. So proud of the boys.
Yeah,
really
and
good.
I believe that we're going to try and get Ryan McKinley
on the line. We'll get
On
McGinley
the
line for
line as
his
well.
thoughts on this, and then we'll come on to the 21s. I don't know if you watched the 21s tonight, did you?
Aye.
Oh, did you? Or I watched the 21s. So are we on here? Let's see if we can get McGinley on the
let's
line.
do it.
Bet he doesn't answer now. Oh, here we go. I feel like I'm like,
Here we
hello,
go.
it's Chris Tarrant here.
Ryan McGinley feeling a little bit under the weather at the moment,
He's not
but
feeling great. That's why he's not here tonight.
he's on. He's going to get his quick thoughts. He might.
That's why it's not COVID. I hope it's not COVID related.
No, hopefully not.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Ryan McGinley, welcome to TSF After Dark.
Thank you very much, mate. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I thought I'd give you a wee call anyway.
Yeah,
McGinley, we spoke this idea into existence, me and you, but unfortunately you'll not here with us tonight, you know?
I know I'm usually wide awake at this time. But
this is the middle of the day for you.
Usually time you get up, innit?
I know I get nicknamed the Owl by my mum and dad too, so I'm usually at my peak at this time, but I'm absolutely floored with the cold and a sore throat and that as well. So
Thought you were going to say the COVID
enough
there.
about me.
It's
definitely not COVID. I've been LFT'd
Right.
numerous times. It's not COVID.
That's good. Right, McGinley, did that Scotland performance make you feel a little bit better? Because I tell you, it's got me buzzing after that tonight.
Yeah, definitely. They were absolutely brilliant. I didn't think Austria were that great, granted, but you know you've got to beat the teams that are in front of you. And I thought, to a man, we were absolutely brilliant tonight. Particularly the midfield. That midfield three of McGinn, McGregor, and Gilmore was phenomenal. They played for the badge, played for their country, played for the jerseys, and they were all absolutely brilliant. Dykes with another important goal. And 6 points out of 9, we would have taken that at the start of this break, I think. So,
McGinley, who was a player that stood out to yourself tonight and maybe just over the course of the international break?
I'd say tonight it's got to be Cal McGregor for me. I think he's so, I don't want to say underrated because all the Celtic fans rate him, but tonight was just another vintage performance from a guy that looks rejuvenated this season.
Yeah, completely agree.
Him and the Gilmore especially, absolutely brilliant. That sort of pivot between the two of them, they were so good.
Yeah.
And this is a team without McTominay, who usually gets in this team, without Ryan Jack, who'd be getting in this team as well. And then definitely in some games. I thought the two of them are absolutely brilliant. Trying to think who else was good too. Shea Adams was really good as well tonight.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Ran everywhere.
I thought that was his best performance for Scotland tonight.
Yeah.
I thought he was brilliant, and you can just. I feel like sooner or later with Shea Adams, we're going to get
The goals.
They're just going to start to come. He's slowly really looking like the main man up front for us. But he was good. I'm glad you brought up McGregor because obviously he was much maligned by everyone last season. He wasn't quite at the levels, but he's looked brilliant so far this season. He looks like a really top class midfield player in that Scotland team, doesn't he?
Yeah, he absolutely does. And him getting the captaincy as well for Celtic, it seems as if he's taken on that leadership role. He's one of the leaders in that Scotland team as well. I don't know if you saw it after Dykes scored his penalty, but he was telling all the Scotland players while they were celebrating to calm down. Basically, like there was still a lot of time to go in the match. It just shows you've got a number of leaders in that team, which is absolutely brilliant. I thought he was sensational tonight. Just the way he sort of glides past players at times. He's a very un-Scottish player. He's more like a sort of Spanish-Belgian player than a Scottish
Spanish-Belgian? That's a first.
I know.
That's great though. Many them, please. That leaves us sitting pretty new in the group, McGinley. Per second, we've got some kind fixtures coming up. Have we got the World Cup? Baby?
I think we will. I think we'll definitely get the playoff.
Mystic McGinley.
He said it now.
I'm feeling it. I just hope my main man Abada doesn't say
I'm feeling it.
Brilliant McGinley for you. It's gone, mate, at fucking nearly 12 o'clock at night. 11.
But do you know, we're used to this. We're used to playing Israel at hand, and it's like
it's the whole nation's cup now, isn't it?
No, it's like the nation I don't really want to be involved with, but that's too political.
He loves his politics, the boy.
Yeah, we get involved with them every season. It feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been every season, but
Every couple of weeks it feels like we're playing Israel.
But I would say we've got with the Tartan Army behind us. I think we've got a great chance, and then two very, very appetising sort of fixtures in terms of getting 6 points. we get 9 points, we'll be We'll be on 20 points.
Well, we're done. Will we confirm second place if we get 9 points, and that Denmark game will be meaningless, which would be absolutely lovely.
That would be nice.
But I mean, what happens if Denmark go and slip a couple of points up in the next few games, and the Denmark game becomes the top group? That would be nice.
That would be good.
But no, listen, great night, McKinley. Good to talk to you. Any final thoughts ahead of the week we've got in front of us, Scottish football wise? Can be absolutely anything.
I think we've got that positive buzz back about Scotland that we had before the Euros. Obviously, we had the Euros positivity, but the results didn't really go with the sort of good feeling that was going about, apart from maybe the England result. But tonight was a real test, and we came through it, and we thoroughly deserved to win. So I'm absolutely buzzing.
Perfect. Right, mate. I hope you're feeling better soon, and hopefully you don't stay up too late.
Much.
Right. Cheers, pal.
See you later,
Enjoy
mate.
the rest
Bye.
of the podcast, boys.
Cheers, man.
Right, McKinley, as per usual, just coming up with the goods.
Aye.
He is like the most hard-working man in the Scottish football podcasting industry.
Yes. Well, we're here at 11 o'clock.
That's a very good
You know what I
point.
mean? He's in his bed.
Nobody tops us.
You know what I mean? Made it cold.
Any other final points you want to make about that game tonight? Anyone that we haven't covered that maybe deserves it?
Just other than I think we thoroughly deserved that victory.
Ryan Christie was really good.
Yeah,
off the
Ryan
bench.
Christie came on, gave us the energy that we needed, and
Boy,
yeah,
can he run, by the way.
He can. He's a runner, the boy.
Yeah, and I almost wish we'd scored a couple more goals because we really could have done. But
And I said in the group chat, bring Fraser on.
Yeah.
Much to my delight that he wasn't in the squad.
But McKinley makes a great point that he ended up on there. It's bringing the positivity back a little bit. Which will be great.
Something amazing when Scotland are doing well, you know.
Yeah,
it's in
I
there.
have to be honest, tonight I was sitting in the flat after that game going mental, and I was thinking, just reminds me of June again and the positivity that's going into place. So no doubt for the Israel game, Hampden will be packed. We'll very much look forward to that. There'll be a wee bit of content around that one, I'm sure now.
Of course.
But yeah, looking forward to it. Right, I know you said you didn't watch the 21s, but I want to cover them just
On we
briefly,
go, mate.
because I watched the game tonight. Scotland 21s drew 1 each with Turkey. Were ahead in the game for a long time. Glenn Middleton scored in the first half. And the one thing that struck me throughout the game is we've got a lot of really good young players. You know, the fullbacks, especially Calvin Ramsey and Josh Doig, are both brilliant fullbacks.
Wow.
Really good.
That's superb.
You know, and I genuinely think both of them could be in the senior squad just now. I think they're both good enough to be in that squad. And Calvin Ramsey especially excites me because we've gone from having no right backs really since Alan Hutton
To having too many.
to having now Nathan Patterson, Calvin Ramsey, two brilliant young footballers who are going to come in and fight for that spot over the next 5, 10, 15 years, which is really, really exciting. So that was good. But what I will say is Scotland played really well for the large part, and you know, a draw was probably disappointing, especially the amount of chances we had at the end. James Scott had a few chances. Glenn Middleton had a couple of cracking chances. Zach Rudden had a chance. But
Zach Rudden's still kicking above the 21.
He came on right midfield, and we played 4-4-2 tonight, which I thought was really interesting.
I never realised Zach was still eligible.
He probably is just 21, I think. Yeah, maybe 22
He's
now.
flying as well with Partick Thistle at the moment.
Yeah, and the final player I wanted to bring up, and it's the reason I wanted to bring this up because I want to get your take on this, was Stephen Kelly, who I have loved Stephen Kelly for years now. I think he's a brilliant young player, looked fantastic tonight, and I think he is now getting to the stage, maybe over the next 6 months to a year, where he could potentially get himself a couple of games for Rangers. I think he's getting to that level. I think he's really good. I listened to Yogi recently talked about him. John Hughes had him at Ross County and said that he thinks he's going to be close to making that next step. He's getting that bit bigger now, a bit more physical, a bit more experience, talented player. I
think the time is now for young Stephen Kelly. You know, he's got that place now in the squad. He's came on and he's had a couple of cameos. Everybody seems to be saying he's a natural replacement for Stephen Davis, and I do definitely see similarities. I mean, going back to him playing last season at Ross County, I thought he was absolutely superb. I seen him play at Celtic Park, and I thought he was brilliant. And I win there. And since he's came back in, he seems to be a player that, like, kind of throwback, where he's going to go in every day to training, he's going to give his all, and he's going to try and get that spot. I don't think he's there to kind of make up the numbers, which is something I absolutely love about him. He's getting to that age now where he's 21. You know, he won't be able to play for the 21s for much longer. I think Ali McCann is also 21, are around about this kind of same age, but of course Ali McCann's came through at St Johnstone. He's been playing senior football for about 3-4 years now. Stephen Kelly's had to bide his time, but listen, this could be the year where you start seeing Stephen Kelly being in it. He's definitely be in and about the squad, for sure now, so it will be very interesting. For the limited time I've seen him actually in the flesh, I think he's been very good, composed on the ball. The future's bright for Stephen Kelly, in my opinion.
When he was at Ayr United was when I really thought, wow, he's a brilliant player.
Stood out so much as well.
We'll come on to Ayr United later on because I want to talk about them because they're doing my head in just now. They had a really good team at that point. They had Alan Forrest, Stephen Kelly. Who else was in that team? There's someone else I'm forgetting that I really shouldn't be forgetting. I can't remember. Anyway, but they were really, really good, and he was fantastic, and he really impressed me tonight. So I know a lot of people watched that game. It was on the BBC. So
would he be the standout the team?
The team tonight standout.
There or thereabouts.
Yeah, I thought Ramsey was probably my. Welsh was really good as well, and Lewis Mayo at the back were both very good.
Fucking hell, what names.
Calvin Ramsey was brilliant though, and the one thing I thought was really impressive about him is he looked so calm and collected with everything he did. So just doesn't worry, wants to play football. Tight areas, and he was trying to play it out rather than just hoofing it down the line. I thought he looked really good.
I was surprised that you got a couple of comments in the live stream you did with Ryan
for bigging him up.
For bigging him up. He's had a superb start to the season. Obviously, people will know him if he come through the ranks. But for myself, he's came from nowhere for me, and he looks superb so far. I was quite surprised at the fact that
I just think that Tony Ralston has been brilliant for Celtic the last month. I think, but I think Ramsey's had every bit as good a start to the season as he's had. But it is mental to be talking positively about Scottish right backs for a change.
I know.
So 21's good result, but maybe could have won it. But yeah. Right, that's probably enough international stuff.
Absolutely. We're 25 minutes in.
Yeah.
So should we get now on to breaking down some of the other games?
The Premiership this weekend, it's back.
A wee bit of transfer news for Hearts.
Oh, let's do some transfer.
Barry Mackay joins in a 2-year deal. He's went down south. I think he's made his money now. He's back up the road. I'm really looking forward to seeing Barry Mackay because he was one of my favourite players. He just gives you that wee bit. Were in the last few years. But to be fair, I remember he was a shining light against the Brendan Rodgers Celtic team as well, and he spoke very highly of his performances. Obviously, it didn't really finish well for him. I think he left for about 500 grand, and he did alright. He always started well for his clubs and then kind of fell away. So I'm really excited to see how he does now. He's getting to that age now. I think he's 26, 27. It's time to kick on. It's time to find a club and kind of stay there for a wee bit and just show what he's all about, because he's got a lot of talent, the boy.
Yeah, a couple of interesting things about that transfer that came out today. He let it be known that Hearts were after him in January. Obviously didn't get him at that time, and the other really interesting thing was in the Hearts statement about signing him, they had mentioned that they beat off competition from near and afar, not just near but very near, they said. So he's obviously picked Hearts over Hibernian, which is very interesting.
The Hearts admin loves a wee.
Of course, his debut for Hearts could be against Hibs this Sunday in the Edinburgh Derby, which could be very, very tasty.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. We've got an Edinburgh Derby this weekend, which is just great.
And also an Edinburgh Derby with the both of them are at the top of the table, mate.
Yeah. Oh, when was the last time that happened? Historians in the chat.
I don't think it's ever
happened. There will
have
been a time when they were both top of League 1 and 2, and they would have been
maybe in the Championship,
in an early season kind of thing. Probably did happen in that Championship season, actually.
Probably did.
But the Premiership, though, in terms of the games, we'll kick off with Rangers. They are the early kick-off on Saturday. Away to St Johnstone, a tough game for Gerrard. Ben Gerrard should be back for this one, we think.
I think he will be back. I'm sure they will be. Listen, it is a tough game, but
on the high of the...
Exactly, on the high of just everything. But McCann, he's away.
Oh, can we talk about that quickly before we go into this game? Because
that was a shambles, wasn't it?
It was an absolute shambles.
I mean, I know that St Johnstone, they ended up putting out some sort of statement or something like that, but
it's a sad indictment on Scottish football that two of our best players in the country last season have gone for less than £2 million combined. I just think it's...
Especially when everybody was talking about $3 million at least for the starting bid for McCann.
Yeah.
I mean, we just spoke about him there. 21 years of age. He's a Northern Ireland international. He's a starter now for Northern Ireland. He's been playing senior cup double.
Why did Celtic or Rangers not go and buy him for that price? I can't understand that. If he's available at that price, why did one of them not go? Celtic especially, they're dying out for somebody like that in midfield. There
was actually talk going about on Twitter for a lot of Celtic fans in the lead up to that.
I just think
I thought, he's staying, and then
I think
all of a sudden he's away.
At that price, I think it's risk free.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
He would really
because obviously you don't need to pay it up all on front as well.
And plus he would suit what Ange's trying to do really well, and they're light in that area. I think that's a bit bizarre they didn't go for him, but to lose your captain and your best player, it's a tough one for St Johnstone. Interesting to see what happens to them for the rest of the season, because see, to be fair,
it has been a tough start.
There's the camera away. So you're St Johnstone, you lose your captain, your double cup winning captain and your best player, both on deadline day.
Yeah, both on deadline day. 500 grand for the captain. Come on.
And I've been touting for the Scotland squad for a wee while now, and to lose them on deadline day, I'm a little bit worried for St Johnstone this season now, just because see if you take away the side, and also the high of the European games, they've not been in great form.
Not won a game, have they?
Yeah. So and you do worry about them a little bit now. Taking away, I mean, that's you take away your captain, your best player of any team, you're going to struggle.
Yeah. Callum Davidson's quotes for earlier on before the season started, they just staying in the division.
Which
now
looked
vindicated.
Yeah, which is something that I said last season has been St Johnstone's sort of aim for the last 10 years, really. A club like that is to stay in the division and anything else the bonus. They've obviously overachieved for so long now, but a lot of people were tipping them to really push on for third place this year. I always caveated that with if they kept their players. They haven't done that. So now it'll be
top
interesting.
Top 6 looks like a great finish for
them.
It would
be unbelievable again if they could do that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, so obviously
they've got Rangers this weekend.
Going back to the game, obviously confident going into it for Rangers, especially with the two boys going out. As I say, it's in the nucleus of the side, captain, best midfielder. You'd really be fancying Rangers to go over there after the high winning the Old Firm and doing a job. But out with the Old Firm, it's not been a great start to the season really for Rangers. So will be big questions asked now. Will it be a return to the form before going into the Old Firm, or will they now kick on for this?
What I will say is, obviously the game at Dundee United went into that game, with a lot of discontent with their own supporters, a lot of anger about Tam Court's appointment and all the rest of it, and they performed absolutely fantastically and really stifled Rangers that day.
Yeah.
Now, as much as I'm saying a worry for St Johnstone, I would say they're very much capable of producing a similar performance to what Dundee United did. Again though, it is most of these games, if Rangers turn up and are at it, it's going to be very hard for them to stop them. Yeah,
I think the international break as well came at a great time for Rangers. Completely Obviously agree. There's a number of players that are going out in international, like the international break, but for the players that weren't, it gives them a chance to go through like proper training sessions, trying to get up to the speed of things, because they're not having to worry about a game at the weekend and all that. So like guys like Ryan Kent, who, as I said in the last show, he was ruled out. He was told he was like ruled out until after the international break. So obviously it gives him a chance to kind of regain his fitness. Maybe that's why he had a slow start to season. Maybe he was nursing that injury.
Good for Barisic as well, because obviously there's a lot of transfer talk, and he wasn't in great
form.
Although
he went away with the international duty, which I found strange, because he looked to me like he was nursing an injury as well in the Old Firm game, and he was pushing through the pain barrier. But
it certainly looked in the last few weeks like a number of things haven't been right. So whether it's the transfer stuff, whether it's the injury, whether it's the late pre-season having been at the Euros. So, I mean, I don't know how many minutes he's played for Croatia, but I just think his head will be a lot clearer now. Now he knows he's got at the very least until January to play for Rangers. And it's vital he gets back. I mean, listen, the Old Firm game, he was still very, very good, produced a brilliant corner for the winning goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think it came at the right time for Rangers just to kind of, everybody just chill out, take stock of what happened so far, realise you're in a good position and now try and put a run together. I can't see anything past a Rangers win there, to be honest. I think it'll be tough, but I think I could see Rangers winning 2-0 personally. And
obviously Glenn Middleton's on loan there as well. He won't be able to play.
And he's been in good form. He has scored again for the 21s, as I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
So
brilliant
fancy Rangers to win that. Right, Celtic Ross County at Parkhead, 3:00 kick-off on Saturday, which was obviously the game that preceded Sharkgate last season. It feels like a very... I know Celtic have just lost the Old Firm game, but it's very much a different atmosphere around the supporters and the team than it was that day. I can't see anything other than a comfortable Celtic victory here.
Yeah, I said it in the first 6-0. I thought the way that Ange likes to play football with a high intensity, creating lots of chances, not really caring what's coming back at him, I think they'll give a good few teams a drubbing.
Yeah.
And I think Ross County will probably be on the end of one of them as well at the weekend. Again, same thing with Celtic. Some of their players have been able to just go away, kind of work on things as well. That was a big thing going into the Old Firm as well. Like, both teams couldn't really work on anything different.
The fixture schedule was too hectic, wasn't it?
Exactly. There'd just been a recovery day, maybe a wee bit of shape, and then straight into the game. So they've had a chance to kind of work on different things, maybe rectify some things at the back, defending for set pieces and all that sort of stuff. So
I think that's something that Ange said as well. They hadn't really had much time to work.
And he came in late as well, and there's this big turnover
lots
of players.
Lots of new signings as well. I mean, deadline day was busy for Celtic.
Results and performances have maybe glossed over the fact that they are still nowhere near really where he wants it to be. There is a lot of work to be done, and again it's another question that they've answered earlier on in the season after getting beat off at Midtjylland and Hearts and bouncing back for it. But high profile one such as the Derby game, it is a big question now. Can they then bounce back for that? I think that they will, to be quite honest.
I think the biggest thing for Ange in terms of what he's done so far, and fair play to him, because I said when he took the job that it would have been a miracle for Celtic to win the league this season based on how far away they looked in terms of squad, in terms of vibe around the club, in terms of the fact that they'd lost out in Eddie Howe. I could not see a world in which Celtic could win the league title. I now can very much see a world in which Celtic could win the league title this season. That's not a prediction or a claim that they're going to do it. It's just I think a reality that I think we're all realising now is that there will be a title race this season. I think Celtic will be done in January. It's going to be, Celtic are a good side now, and the one thing I will say is, you mentioned there about the international break for them. Kyogo went off injured tonight for Japan, which is a bit of a worry.
Did he? And there's that long journey as well, man.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So they've obviously got the new guy coming in, the new Greek striker. I haven't confirmed how to pronounce his name yet, so I'm not going to butcher it. I'll think about that and come back and do it properly next show. And Jota as well from Benfica. Did you hear his wee story today about the scarf?
He swapped.
So Celtic played Benfica in 2012, and he apparently swapped a scarf for the Celtic fan.
Could be one of the ones.
It's very much a Brendan Rodgers-esque story, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like the one about
he's
the
bought his book, can't he?
Yeah,
or his DVD, whatever one it is.
He looks like an exciting young player.
Has he played a lot of senior football, or is it more for Benfica?
I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know much about him.
But if you're playing for a club like that, you've obviously got a wee bit about you. Do you know what I mean?
But it's going to be interesting to see. Christie and Edward have obviously gone. I think Ryan Christie's a massive, massive miss for Celtic, and I think people probably realise that as time goes on. Just down to his versatility, he's always fit and available. And Edward obviously as well, we know how good he can be. I think with Kyogo starting off so well, it's kind of a bit like, right, Edward, we knew he was going to go. Kyogo is probably his replacement. You've got the Greek guy as well, who hopefully, if he can continue for Celtic's point of view, his goals, exploits in Netherlands could be a good player as well. But it'll be interesting to see how they gel. Obviously, Callum McGregor's played a lot of football international break. He'll obviously play this weekend. I don't know what the script is with James McCarthy. I mean, you give him a 4-year deal and he's injured in the first month.
Is he injured?
Shock. He is injured just now. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And there's not been very much. I don't think there's been very much chat about what's up with him. But I'm pretty confident Celtic will beat Ross County comfortably.
Yeah. On Ross County, then they've been playing too bad. They've been doing no too bad.
They're my tip for
relegation.
They're my tip for relegation.
Yeah.
Between them and Livy, I would say.
Yeah.
St Mirren as well. We'll come on to St Mirren in a minute. But yeah, we're both going comfortable Celtic victories there. Let's come on to St Mirren, because what's going on there?
Listen, Jim Goodwin has been back to the hull. I said it in the last podcast. It was a wee bit to play devil's advocate, but Goodwin needs to start picking up results, because he's been given a new contract. He's been getting out and getting all these new players
in St Mirren's history.
There you go. So the fans are now expecting him to pick up results.
Top 6.
Exactly, that's a minimum, I think, for him this season. With the squad that he's got as well. They just missed out last year with a last minute goal, and that would have been them maybe pushing a wee bit, do you know what I mean, against the odds this season. With the budget, there's an expectation there, and you were talking about your mate in the work as well. Isn't he happy with him at the helm at the moment? Really needs to start picking up results. Who is it they've got the weekend again?
Dundee United.
That's a tough game.
So this is what I was going to come on to. I think there'll be a lot of sensible St Mirren fans out there that will have caveated the top 6 ambitions with going, right, you've got St Johnstone just won 2 cups and finished in the top 6. You've got Dundee United, who have had their first season consolidating, will be a club that needs to push top 6. You've got both Edinburgh clubs. You've got Aberdeen, you've got Celtic and Rangers. It is going to be very tough to get in that top 6 this season. Now, besides that, St Mirren they haven't won a game yet in the league this season. 2 wins, 2 draws. Sorry, 2 defeats and 2 draws. They played Dundee United, who, as I mentioned, talking about the Rangers game earlier on there, a lot of discontent this summer. They've started all right. Fair play to Tam Courts, they've started well. Good result at St Johnstone as well. That was a really good win for them.
But in the last game, very comfortably beaten by Hearts at home. So they have been a wee bit hit and miss. It maybe just depends on what Dundee United team turns up for this game.
But certainly if you look at the 2 starts either team have made, you'd say, right, Dundee United are probably more the ones that would maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they ended Rangers' undefeated record in a great performance.
Caveat all of this, we're only 4 games in.
That is indeed.
But I'm interested to see how that goes. At St Mirren as well in Paisley, that's got to be. It's hard to say a must-win game for the 5th game of the season, but when you've not won yet and you've got Dundee United at home and you want to be a top 6 pushing team, that's as close to a must-win you're going to get this stage of the season. For Jim Goodwin,
for sure.
I think I read a few stuff from some St Mirren fans on Twitter. They're struggling a little bit in the wide areas just now. They've obviously got some decent strikers. Main, they've got Brophy. They're not quite creating enough for them.
Yeah, they let go of the boy Dunmas during the summer. He was a good wide player, so I don't really get.
They've lost a lot of players, haven't they? I mean, just in recent times, obviously McGinnis, they've lost to Hibs. Jake Doyle-Hayes they've lost as well. These guys who created lots of chances.
I know they brought in a lot of players, but I thought some of their signings were a wee bit different for their style of play last year. I mean, they were complimented for their attacking football and all that, and then they go out and get guys like Power, maybe even Curtis Main up front. No, the prettiest on the eye, but maybe that's what they needed as well.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Really interesting. I mean, for me, the top 6 stuff with St Mirren is very much down to the fact that Tony Fitzpatrick came out and said, "This is what we're going to do."
Yeah,
and we all laughed at him.
There's a lot of pressure on
the
manager.
So we all laughed at him at the start of last season, and then I know they didn't get it at the end, but we all went, right, fair enough. He was right in terms of
last minute,
because his thing was, why shouldn't St Mirren aim for top 6? My thing, looking at the teams in the league this season, is St Mirren need to just stay in the league. Personally, I might sound harsh, but I think when you look at the rest of the teams in the league, I think that should kind of be the aim. But we'll see. I fancy. I don't know what I think. Probably a draw for this one for me.
I was thinking the exact same.
Towards Dundee United though, out of either.
And I'm edging towards St Mirren just to get that first victory.
Well, we're both going to sit in the fence and stick with the draw though.
Yeah,
nice.
That is my prediction. To be fair, a draw.
Right. Let's stick with the Dundee theme. We'll go to Dundee and Livy. Again with two sides who are very much about staying in the league this season. Livy bottom of the table just now. 4 defeats in 4 games.
See, the thing with Livy, obviously it sounds bad saying 4 defeats in 4 games, but there's been 1 goal in it. Do you know the last minute goal with Aberdeen? They've been very, very unlucky with some of the results as well, but of course they need to try and pick up.
They've played Rangers and Aberdeen so far, which you've got a caveat there with. I think they've played Hibs as well. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they did. I think it was 2-0.
Yeah,
2-0 to Hibs
at Easter Road. So they've had a tough start. I worry for Livy this season, and the thing I worry for is where the goals are coming from. They've got Bruce Anderson, but see, apart from that, I'm about where the goals are
Alan
coming from.
Forrest is probably the guy that's like closest to him in terms of going to get you goals. But
he's not,
even if you look last season, Alan Forrest did get goals and assists, but he wasn't a starter last season. So you're asking a lot of him to come in now, be a starter and get you goals.
It's also a bit of a worry for if you're Davy Martindale, because if you remember last season, the wheels kind of came off a little bit for Livy in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
If you look, I don't have the figures in front of me, but I would like to see where, in terms of like the last 8 months, their form. I think it would be pretty poor, to be honest. So, he will need to start picking up some points soon.
Again, for Livingston, though, it's about staying in the league, and
which
is a massive game.
This is why this want to win. I know it's away from home, but it's a newly promoted side. Dundee are also yet to win in the league this season, but they've done all right. I mean, they got the point against. Was it Hibs? They got the point against at Dens?
Yeah, 2 each at Dens.
Yeah, which is a really, really good game, to be fair.
Jason Cummins is scoring a lot of goals. Obviously, he was probably fortunate to get in the team due to injury, but since he's got in there, he does what he does best and scores goals. So he's a threat. Charlie Adam in the middle, obviously, he's got that bit of quality. McGowan, he's a threat maybe off the bench as well, or starting in the game. They've got a strong squad. They had a good result in the cup. You had a good result in the cup, putting Motherwell out.
You're potentially seeing the debut of Lee Griffiths this weekend.
Jesus Christ.
Forgot about that.
Also, he signed...
I don't care what anybody says. If he plays games, Dundee will stay in the league.
He'll score goals.
If he plays 15, 20 games this season, they'll stay in the league.
They're not struggling for goals, you know what I mean? It's always been at the back for Dundee. Even last season, they conceded a lot of goals.
Yeah. But yeah, Dundee at home. I would fancy Dundee at home to get their first win of the season, home crowd.
But I'm going to go against the grain there, and I'm going to go Livingston.
Okay, I like it.
With a wee bit of David Martindale sauce.
I like it when we disagree on these things, because it creates a nice.
I'm just thinking there's not been a lot of goals in the games with Livingston, and maybe that experience they've got in the top flight maybe gets them that victory. But it will be highly contested.
Let's move on to the second last game, penultimate game we're going to cover for the Premiership this weekend. One of only 3 teams undefeated so far in the league this season. Aberdeen travel to Fir Park to play Motherwell, who, fair play, have had a decent start to the league campaign. When pre-season Betfred Cup, they were pretty honking, and I was worried for them, but they've started alright. They sit in 5th place, 2 wins, a draw and a defeat. Aberdeen with 2 wins and 2 draws. An interesting one at Fir Park. I think Aberdeen, I've liked what I've seen under Stephen Glass so far. I like the squad they've got as well. They've got a really, really good squad. It's going to be tough to call though. An interesting game. I kind of like that to be on the telly, but it's not. It's the 3 o'clock kickoff.
No, that is a brilliant game. When have you seen, just to touch on the squad depth there, when have you seen really an Aberdeen team like him going into games and resting some key players and still you may be picking up results? I know they got a poor result versus Raith.
Well, I criticised them for that, for changing the team.
But it does show squad depth if you're still picking up victories.
That's all well and good, but if you're not picking up victories and you're out of the cup at the first real hurdle, then you're struggling.
You were quite critical of him at that point, though.
Yeah, well, I thought that was a bit mental, because I think that the biggest thing about Derek McInnes was that the cups, he wasn't winning enough cups, and he rested players for that ahead of the European game, which they lost as well. So it was a calculated rest that did not pay off at all. So, and I think for him to be out of the cup at that stage is a bit of a disaster early on, despite how I've liked what I've seen at times. I thought that was a bit of a disaster, but listen, they've got guys in there who've started well. Scott Brown makes a massive difference to Aberdeen. I think there was the last game before the break. That was a game at Tynecastle, wasn't it? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, 1-0.
Drew one each.
No, it wasn't, because they went up to Dundee United, didn't they?
So they did, that's right. So they would have played Aberdeen at home. I can't remember. It's really bad.
No, they beat Livy at home, did they not?
That's probably right. We'll go with that.
No, Ross County. Sorry.
There we are.
Thought Scottish football, we know stuff.
But Brown's come in and done well. And
Lewis Ferguson as well. That's
the thing.
Massive business keeping Lewis Ferguson.
If you lose Ferguson, though, family allegiances aside, him working with Scott Brown every day and playing beside Scott Brown is going to be massive for him in a whole number of ways. And great business keeping him. I think the Jets started really well as well. Fair play to him. And Ramirez, big fan of Christian Ramirez. I think once he really, really settles in and plays lots of games, he will score lots of goals. And that was the biggest thing for the Dons last season, didn't score enough goals.
Absolutely. The Jets been coming off the bench. I'd like to see him start.
He scored some brilliant goals, didn't he? The goal at Raith Rovers was brilliant.
I know, even the pass through at Tynecastle, I believe. It was last week actually. He comes off the bench, puts it through, hits a shot, and then Ramirez scores the kind of last minute goal. It was him that comes on and unlocks that defence. I think his best positions maybe not in the 10, but maybe a centre forward just behind kind of Ramirez in there. He's got some good technical ability. I'd like to see him start some more games, because I think he's got a bit about him.
Speaking of strikers scoring goals, Tony Watt.
Flying. We've got a wee segment now with Tony Watt, but we just talk about him.
Yeah.
Doing bits.
Yes.
Fine goal scoring
hopefully
form.
Soon we'll be able to talk with him about him doing bits. That'd be nice. If we could organise that, Tony.
It'd be great if you come on, son.
And he's done a lot of media this week talking about how he's not giving up on his thoughts of playing for Scotland, which I like, because he's got a bit of ambition now.
Good.
He's settled in. I think he put a tweet up, it was first transfer window, he hadn't moved clubs in a while, which was good for him, and he's starting to play through the middle now, scoring goals. I think he's got 4 this season so far, and obviously scored the winner against Dundee last time out. If they're to beat Aberdeen, you'd imagine somebody like him will be crucial, but I think I'm going to back the Dons to continue their undefeated record. I think they'll pick up all 3 points here. I think it'll be a good game too. Yeah,
it will be. Again, it's really hard to judge. I know we're early on.
One of my favourite games so far this season was the Motherwell Hibs game at Fir Park. That was a cracking game. I think there'll be something similar.
I'm going to go a draw here.
Okay, cool.
Go a cheeky draw.
And let's round it off with the last game of the Premiership this weekend, and it's the biggest game of the weekend. Wish we could have Adam on the phone. We should have thought about this.
He starts work at 4 in the morning.
Fair play to him.
So
we'll
probably know.
Yeah. Right, Hearts Hibs at Tynecastle, Edinburgh Derby with proper away allocations. Hibs are getting the full Rosebound stand at Tynecastle, which will be great to see. It's going to be an electric atmosphere, going to be a cracking game of football. I am very excited to watch that. And it's 1 and 2 in the league, is it? No, is that right?
Yeah.
Fair play.
I don't think a lot of people were expecting Hearts to have such a good start to the season. I mean, they go into this game, if they beat Hibs, they're top of the league. Yeah. And look at who they've played so far.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
They played Celtic, they played Hibs, they played Dundee United away.
And played Aberdeen.
So that would be phenomenal.
Exactly.
Robin Nielsen, who, by the way, can I just say something? I've not heard one Hearts fan calling for Nielsen out so far this season. And last season, every single one of them was.
The biggest...
we all know I'm not a fan.
No, I know. I was actually going to bring that up. I know that there's a lot of people that aren't really a fan of Nielsen on the show, but...
Fair play.
For me this season, it looks like he's just got them so shored up at the back.
Yeah,
they're just,
that's the thing.
They're just solid, and then they've got boys up front who'll get you goals. He's a bagsman. Get Mackay Stevens just brought in.
Done alright recently.
Hardy's done well. He's been shipped out to the left hand side. I think their formation is quite interesting as well.
They're also versatile. They don't have. They can change formation. There's times
they've got Ginelli on the bench that can come off and do bits.
But the one for me that's been standout has been John Souttar so far. I think he's been brilliant, and I actually thought he was really unlucky not to make the Scotland squad. I think he will be in the next Scotland squad if he continues to start the season over someone like Scott McKenna, who's not in great form at club level. John Souttar, I just think he's right-sided, plays in the right of a 3. I know we were praising Jack Hendry earlier, but Souttar could come in, and he's also been capped before and played a few games. So he's been great. But then Hibs have been great as well, and they've got serious firepower. Nisbet,
the boy
Martin Boyle, who's
signed a new contract.
Arguably, is he the best outside the Old Firm player in Scotland just now?
For me,
I would say so too.
For me, he's head and shoulders above everybody at the moment. Probably the most informed player in the league,
and finding real consistency to his game now. I remember in like the last 2-3 years, people have said, "Could you go to Celtic? Could you go to Rangers?" And it's don't think he did it consistently enough. Starting doing it consistently enough now, so
absolutely
that will be interesting. If I remember rightly, the last time these two were both in the Premiership, these games started to become a bit horrible to watch.
Yeah, and it was quite one-sided as well, I believe. I think Hearts were the team that were kind of picking up the victories.
I also think that the fact that it's at Tynecastle, the atmosphere at Tynecastle, I think is arguably the best in the country when it's fully firing, no matter, everything's, all the players say that.
Yeah, all the players
say it's always Tynecastle, so close to the pitch, it'll be electric. I'd love to see a classic, a real advert for the game. It'll be on, I think it'll be on Sky as well, won't it? So that'll be good. I'm going to go and back the High Bees to take this one. I think Hearts have been good at the back, but I just think Hibs have just got that little bit of quality that can really unlock any defence in the league when they're at it. And I think Hibs will go clear at the top of the league. Yeah,
I think it will be a classic because you just come through the two squads, and there's a number of players in both teams that you just think he could be the difference.
Yeah.
He could be the difference. He can pop up. He can score a goal. Nisbet, Boyce, Gary Mackay-Stevens, Boyle, the whole, and then you go back to the defence. I'm going to stick with Hearts because I'm going to go Hearts because you obviously talked about Man Suter. I think they're maybe a wee bit more solid at the back. So I think there's a mistake in young Porteous.
Well,
I know he's good.
Come on to Porteous,
I know he's a good player.
I've been critical of him in the past. I think he's had a very good start to the season.
He has indeed, but I think out the two defences,
I would probably agree.
And they obviously conceded 2 goals late versus Dundee in a game that they should have definitely won.
But I mean, they are 1 and 2 in the table. They both started very, very well. It has got. It's got like 2 each written all over it, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go Hearts. But if I had to pick out a player that I think could be the massive difference here, it's got to be Boyle because the start of the season for him's been sensational.
So you're going to back Hearts to win, but you're going to say Hibs.
I'm just saying. I think it'll come down to fine margins, and I'll back Hearts due to the defensive side. And if it comes down to fine margins and they're maybe a wee bit more solid at the back, somebody could pop up like a man like Boyce and win it for them. But if it goes the other way, Boyle could just set the world alight.
Set Gorgie on fire. Right, interesting. Really, really, exciting weekend in the Premiership. Lots of really good games, all up and down the league. Let's move on to the Championship.
I've been enjoying talking about the low leagues as well. We've been shining a light. We went back to the old throwback and going through them.
Good. I know it's so much better like that. I think.
I'd say so.
Because I've had so many people come and say things to me like, love how you go through the lower leagues because I know nothing about the lower leagues, but listen. See, to be fair, to go back when you and Ryan started TSF and I first started listening, that was one of the biggest things I liked about it as well. Because I used to go out and walk the dog and I used to listen to yous, and then I used to sometimes give Ryan a wee message, talking shite here, do you know what I mean, and all the rest of it. But I enjoyed the lower league stock, so it'd be good to get start back into it, son. Right, let's talk about the top of the game that was on tonight. Ayr United against Raith Rovers, 2-0 to the Rovers. Ayr United are honking.
You wanted to talk about them, so what was the biggest thing?
My big thing, I took the piss at them a lot because David Hopkins went and signed loads of Morton players and just tried to turn them into Morton. Ayr United for me have always been such an entertaining attacking team, and they're just dreadful. I think they started like 7 defenders on the pitch tonight. They're just anti-football nonsense. 2 red cards in that game tonight, incidentally. For Riley Snow for Rovers and Aaron Muirhead, who absolutely... It was Jonathan Affleck. Was there 2 red cards for Ayr United tonight? Maybe there was. Aaron Muirhead and Jonathan Affleck were sent off, so they were down to 9 in the end.
The big man.
Aaron Muirhead loves a red card. Absolutely loves it.
Is that the boy that's on loan for Celtic?
Yeah, we had him at Dunfermline a couple of years ago. It was alright, but yeah. So Ayr United defeat, which makes we'll just kick it off with a game at Somerset Park this weekend. Ayr United against Dunfermline Athletic.
The battle of the Stinkies.
The absolute most dog shit game you could ever think of is going to be in prospect. I've not been on here recently, so I've not been able to talk about us. I've not really voiced my stuff.
We said on the last show that Grant is on a sugly peg.
I would say the peg is hanging on by like a splinter.
A ball hair.
He's a ball hair.
A midgie's ball hair.
I don't even know where to go.
I was before you lambast, I was expecting so much more from Dunfermline just for listening to yourself, and even the results and the evidence. Even the results and the evidence. So when you looked at the cup, they had a good start in the cup.
Look at the squad though. The squad is really good. It is. There's a couple of holes in it where I think we're missing. We don't have a good goalie. We haven't had a good goalie for ages. We're missing a sort of defensive midfielder. But apart from that, I think the squad's really, really good on paper. I'm not going to sit here and slag people off because I'll do that at the ground on Saturday when I've had a few beers. But listen, Peter Grant has a nice guy. brief meetings I've had with him, he's been really good, great guy, and I feel for him because I know for a fact that he's given it everything, and he will be hurting as well because he's a proud guy. He's obviously big career in football and all the rest of it. But there is such a feeling of inevitability about all this. It's just sooner. It's when it's going to happen. I've never known in my time supporting Dunfermline the fan base so united in a opinion of a manager.
Right.
Everyone
is that his past maybe that as well? That
it's the fact that I would say the majority didn't want him appointed in the first place.
Yeah.
It's not even just the results. We've been done 3-0 at home twice this season off the newly promoted team and the only part-time team in the league, and we've just looked dreadful. And we keep doing the same things every week. We went to Rangers and played 3 up top. Fuck me. Yeah. Come on now.
I know Grant likes to play kind of attacking football, and Allo were praised for that last season, but they were ultimately
and Stenny in the League Cup.
They were ultimately relegated as well. Allo
but
last
this
season.
is a season that he, in his early time, talked about us winning the league. The fans went, we need to really challenge the title. We're currently 11 points off the top of the table. We've in the last 4 games we've conceded 13-14, only scored 1.
It's not looking good, is it?
We're just dreadful.
It's not even like you're scoring, but you're kind of.
The worst thing is the crowd for the Arbroath game, which was the first game at East End Park back to normal as per se, was less than 3,000, which is just nowhere near good enough. Considering Falkirk at home had a crowd of about 3,600 in the league below, there's apathy. People are not turning up to the game, and before we know it, if this goes on for much longer, the club will really suffer financially. The sooner that the board hold their hands up and say we got it wrong and move us on, the quicker we can get something out of the season. I'm not even going to sit here and just go through them because I don't think it's really fair. I just think they need to hurry up and make the decision. But there is nobody backing him. Nobody. And I actually feel sorry for him because, you can tell he will be taking that whole... And I think, like people slag players off and say, and managers off, they don't care, they're not trying. I don't think that's ever really true. There are very
maybe in the odd occasion.
There are very rare circumstances where a player or a manager will not care. These guys will be taking that home and they'll all be feeling dreadful. So you don't want to stick the boot in too much, but we have been fucking...
But the results just... They haven't been good enough.
Kai Kennedy, by the way, is brilliant. We got beat 3-0. We were 3-0 down to Arbroath, and we were all saying Kai Kennedy's name because he was the only player who, I'm going to contradict myself, looked like he cared. Do you know what I mean? Like he was just given so much more. So we need to build a team around him this season and hope that something happens. But again, going on to the game this weekend, if we lose this, if we don't win this game, I think he's gone. I think even if we draw, I think he'll probably be gone. If we win the game,
probably be gone.
No, he won't, but it'll just prolong it. I just don't have any faith it'll turn around, and I really hope I'm wrong. But it's going to be a stinker. Adam's going to that game.
Is he?
Yeah, he was.
He's down there now. He's based down there.
So he'll be at the game on Saturday. So
he'll be at Somerset.
If he tries to stick a camera in my face for content, I'll punch him. Just so you're warned, Adam. But no,
I'd like to see that clip, Adam, by the way, if you're watching. I know you watch it. So
the only thing is, what I'm like with the Pars, I'd love them, follow them everywhere. But even I just can't be arsed going this weekend. I'm going to go because you have to, don't you? But if I can't be arsed, the ones that maybe aren't as intensely are just not.
No, I get what you're saying.
And that's the worrying thing for a club like that, is when you're trying to build positivity with new owners and stuff, crowds drop, there's just apathy. It's just the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, because there was a lot of positivity getting into the season with the new owners and the squad. And
this is the final point I'm going to make. Ross McCarthy, the chairman, has taken a lot of stick from Dunfermline fans for this appointment. Now, you're not telling me that it was his decision. The new owners came in and Thomas Meggle handpicked Peter Grant. They were coming in to take over the club. They had the final say in this decision. That's just what happened, right? Now, the new owners have come in, they've made this decision and pretty much clearly got it wrong to all of us. If they don't rectify it soon, their tenure in charge of the club is just off to a disastrous start. They will oversee a bad appointment, decreasing crowds, where you need to try and build positivity. But I just hope it gets resolved soon, because it's not nice. It really isn't nice when your club's in that kind of state. It just brings your mood down.
Thankfully Scotland kind of took you a wee
bit.
They
sorted me a little bit, but I'll be back down to 5 PM on Saturday. But listen, I think I'm going to say that it'll be a draw this weekend, because I think both teams are just honking. We shouldn't be, though. Our squad's good.
I don't even know how this one's going to go, to be fair.
I've never ever wanted my team to get beat, and I'm not saying I do, but there is a part of me that thinks, let's just
put us out of misery.
Just finish it now. So I've never in my life wanted Dunfermline to get beat, but this weekend is probably the closest I've felt to that, just in a hope of
put them in their misery.
Get it? I just don't want this to drag on, and hopefully it doesn't. But then still wants to win the weekend, which is it's just
that win could be the thing that kick-starts Dunfermline onto glory.
It would be very surprising. That's how bad it is, though, when you're genuinely thinking, Christ, if we win this weekend, it's just going to be another week. That is really bad, actually. So I don't know how I feel. That's what
football does, you know. Kind of pulls in the
make
heartstrings.
myself feel horrible here. Like,
aye, let's talk. What other games have we got to look forward to?
Well, the Championship has been interesting. Let's move on to Inverness's game and let's talk about not John Robertson, Billy Dodds is Inverness.
Yeah,
Dodds is in there, and
Dodds is here. Fair
play to him. I mean, 4-1-0 victories. They're top of the league. Massive win over Killie last week away from home. They've got Thistle this weekend. 1-2 in the Championship. The Battle of the Thistles.
Wow.
One again. This is going to be Billy Dodds. Right? They got beat off. Who was it? Beat them in the League Cup. Was it Peterhead or Cove or somebody? And he said he came out post-match and he used the phrase, "I've not worked in the defence yet." And people were laughing at him going, what is this clown doing? 4-0, 1-0 victories, 4 clean sheets, top of the league, Inverness are flying. And they've just got Roddy McGregor and Cameron Harper on new contracts, 2 great young players. So it's all coming up Millhouse for the Kelly Jacks.
Even going into the Kelly game, none of the sides had conceded a goal, but they were the ones that came out top with a clean sheet. So they will be confident going into the Partick Thistle game, because Partick Thistle, of course,
flying as well,
scored a lot of goals in that, but I think that they can be got at. So I'm definitely leaning towards Inverness for this one, and also for the fact that they were my pick, David and Al.
Yes, and I questioned it. I thought, what's going on there?
Yeah, I thought they had a really good end to the season, so I thought go against the grain here a wee bit and go with them.
Absolutely fair play. They've had a good start. Thistle obviously had a good start as well. Up from League One, a lot of people tipping them for the back-to-back, which would be...
It'd be massive if it
would be unbelievable. I certainly think they've got a squad that's capable of reaching the playoffs. If they can go win this weekend, they're really going to fancy themselves. But again, if Cali can win this weekend, 5 wins at the start of the season...
Yeah, they'd be a really good position if they do that.
And you've obviously still got Killie there, who we'll come on to. Then you've got Killie, Thistle and Inverness flying already, who you would imagine at that point... You'd say they're probably going to make up 3 of the top 4.
Yeah.
And then for clubs like Dunfermline, Hamilton, Raith Rovers,
stay in division.
There's one place left in the top 4. You know, and all of a sudden things can change. But things can change very quickly in the Championship. Dunfermline can get beat this weekend, bring in a new manager, win 5-6 in the bounce, and then we're laughing.
We've seen that in League One last year with Partick Thistle.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it can happen. Should we go to Killie next? Since we talked to them, obviously beat last week, they've had a very good start to the season as well, to be fair to them. They played Morton at Rugby Park. Should be 3 points for Killie.
It should be out with obviously last week versus Inverness in a close game. They've had a really good start to the season. You know, everybody thought going at the Inverness game, they thought they were going to win it, and it's maybe just a wee hiccup.
Yeah,
that they'll bounce back from. I fully expect them to go there and get the 3 points.
They're just off the back of a good win in the Challenge Cup. 3-1 win at home over Falkirk.
Look at their squad as well. Killie's squad is.
Fraser Murray got 2. Well, they've just signed Ollie Shaw as well.
Yeah,
got an assist for one of Fraser Murray's goals at the weekend. Who's, Ollie Shaw. I mean, Leanne Dempster said he was one of the top talents in Europe when he was at Hibs. Now, admittedly, his career's not panned out so far the way that it was expected. But Ross County paid money for him and have let him go now permanently. So there's obviously a good player in there. This might be the level of the club that he really. If he can go and if Ollie Shaw can go and score a few goals this season and get promoted by Killie, then have a fist at the Premiership could be a really good move for him.
Yeah, definitely.
I would fancy Killie over Morton, who, fair play to Morton. I always trash them, but they're still fighting away, and they're doing better than Dunfermline so far. So fair play to them. Raith Rovers, Queen of the South Rovers, obviously off the back of that win tonight. Queens, Alan Johnson has just signed his son on loan from Motherwell.
Never really ends well, stuff like that.
Doesn't end well, that stuff like that. But he is a good young player, to be fair to him. I've heard lots of good things, but it is the most typical Alan Johnson thing ever. I would like to have seen the reaction if he'd done that when he was still at Dunfermline. But yeah, interesting. Queen of the South, last season everyone thought they were going to get relegated, didn't they? But they always seem to produce gems.
No, I remember that last season.
Dykes they produced. Last season, Connor Shields, Obalai, these guys become top players in the Championship.
Yeah.
Can they do it again? Who knows? Rovers at home though, you'd fancy?
Yeah, leaning towards them, mate.
Yeah, I would say so. Hopefully the lights stay on this time round. Hopefully they paid the lecky bill.
That was mental. What was the actual
so I was
scenario there?
Fucking delighted because I was isolated and couldn't go to the game.
Oh, so you
and
were?
I got rescheduled for the end of the month, so I didn't miss a game in isolation, which is actually probably not a bad thing because we've been so shite. I don't know. It was just a power outage in the area. I don't think it was as much their fault. Some of the criticism they got was quite harsh. Even I was sticking up for them. Oh, that's what we need to cover. Raith Rovers wise, 2 bits of Raith Rovers news that are interesting. They've just lost Dylan Tate to Hibs.
Is that the goalie?
No, a young midfield player.
Oh, right. Brilliant.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better just to say nothing.
I know. A goalie did go for one of the lower leagues up to Hibs, though.
Yes, it was David Mitchell from Clyde.
Yeah. So that's miles away for the Championship.
A bizarre transfer that one's. But the Dylan Tate transfer's caused a lot of controversy. It was a big chairman statement, blah, blah, blah.
Is it the gaffer's son? Is it one of the ones?
It's not one
Cousin.
of the ones. But yeah, he's one of the young players produced in Fife that Raith Rovers have got, not Dunfermline, which is something we need to look at with their own academy, which is coming soon. And also a bit of bad news, Lewis Vaughan, who's a star for Raith Rovers, and he's done his ACL for the 4th time.
Oh, I seen that actually.
And now,
that's
listen,
heartbreaking.
Lewis Vaughan is the Dunfermline scalper. He scores against us all the fucking time, and I should absolutely hate him, but I can't help but feel for the guy. That is absolutely awful. It's just rotten luck, and a really top player at Championship level.
The fact that he can come back for that this season, his 4th time, and play at that level, that's mental.
The mental strength that requires is phenomenal. And fair play to him, because he's going to give it a crack and try and come back again. We always said when we had Sam Wardrop on, Sam talked about when he did his ACL and how tough it was for him. And he went, if anyone's not seen that, go back and watch it. Because he went, he told us quite a lot about how he was feeling at that time, and it was awful, and it would be awful having to sit and watch when you know how much you can contribute. So, listen, wish him all the best. Hopefully he gets back soon, but it's a massive loss for.
Do you know if it was the same ACL he continues to do?
Not totally sure. But
it's a shame as well that they maybe don't have the.
Chuck it, but he's obviously continuing.
He obviously loves the game.
So fair play to him. That's not good news for Raith Rovers. But I'm not going to be sitting here and because that's just sometimes if a player misses a game through injury you can laugh at it, but that's just
4 times your ACL,
wish
man.
him all the best.
My God.
Raith at home to Queens. I'm going to back the Rovers to win it though. That game I'm going to go 2-1 to Rovers.
I think there could be goals in this game. I'm going to go high scored and draw 2-2.
The final game,
I've changed my mind.
Okay,
I said the Rovers would win.
I've got 2-2.
I've got 2-2.
Final game of the weekend is Arbroath against Stuart Taylor's Hamilton Accies up at Gayfield.
What a start to the season.
Arbroath,
for Arbroath. I love the interview as well.
He's brilliant. He is brilliant.
I'll take it.
As much as Dunfermline were hopeless against Arbroath were really, really good. Lots to be impressed about in that team. Hamilton have had an iffy start to the season.
Got their first win last week, didn't they?
Big for Stuart Taylor to get his first win that early in the campaign. Well, it's 2 wins in the bounce now. Got his first win against Queen of the South in the league at Palmerston, and then beat Hearts 21s at the weekend in the Challenge Cup. But at Gayfield, it's so difficult to go up to Gayfield, isn't it, for any team? So this is going to be a real introduction to the Championship.
Arbroath are just well regimented. They're very well coached.
They're in 4th place.
Exactly. So I don't know. I fancy them actually.
Yeah, this is going to be, if Hamilton are really going to be a team pushing for playoffs this season, which I think is their aim, they will probably need to go to a place like that at some point in the season and win.
Are we 0-0 or something? One of the ones?
Yeah. I can see. I don't see Arbroath getting beat easily. It has got a 0-0 feel to it.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
going to go 0-0 actually.
Aye.
Right.
Because even Hamilton were conceding a lot of goals right at the start. Remember the 4 each? That was mental. And then they went to Kelly, and I expected Kelly to go, but it took Kelly a wee bit of time to break them down.
They've got character and resilience, and that's the Hamilton way, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean,
can't knock them for that. Right, absolutely. Let's move on to League One, which is just a brilliant league. I just love Scottish football, mate. I just love it. Right, quick look at the table so we know where we're standing. Queen's Park are flying, who I think I backed them for the double promotion. Stuart Peachey's Montrose obviously also flying. Falkirk have had a decent start. This weekend we've got Barry Ferguson's Alloa at home to Falkirk. Fergie's Alloa have not had a great start to the season.
No.
Falkirk again. Surely this will be the season they come up.
You'd think so. Obviously, got Nesbitt. He's had such a good start to the season. And Sam, we spoke about Sam being on the show. He was talking about him and how talented he was when he was at Celtic.
Yeah.
He's
not really found a club where he can really.
Absolutely.
He's the type of player that needs a team that play decent football, and it wasn't that for Morton.
Yeah.
He was rumoured to come to Dunfermline last summer, didn't quite happen. But yeah, again, a good player who I think a good season in League One could really reinvigorate his career.
He's been bottom up with goals as well.
Yeah, and the Falkirk fans are quite happy with Paul Sheeran so far. The crowds are up, as I've mentioned, which is good for them. And they go to Alloa, who Fergie's not had a great start there.
Yeah.
And I think Falkirk will win.
Yeah, I'd back you on that.
Another really interesting game in League One, Cove at home to Montrose. Montrose second league. Stuart Peachey, Pars legend, could be the next Dunfermline manager if a lot of people had their way. And Montrose are a team I've always liked, mainly because he's there. They'll obviously be pushing for playoffs, but again, Cove, who not a great start. I think a lot of people expected a little bit more from them so far. It's not quite happened as of yet. But this is going to be an interesting one. If they can get 3 points there.
Yeah, I think it'll tell a lot about the sides, won't it?
Really good teams
the
in
way
League
this
One
goes.
this year. See, when you think about it, you've got Cove, Falkirk, Montrose,
Go anyway.
Airdrie, Queen's Park.
Montrose have started really well. They were my surprise, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I think they dropped points last week, didn't they? I think it was a wee draw or something like that. So I'm going to lean towards Cove for this one. Home advantage and all that.
I'm going to go with Cove as well. Why not? Home advantage. Right. Let's go on to Sam, because he's obviously been out with the COVID recently. I think he should be back. I think he's out.
He has. Maybe he's been in his squad. Maybe I don't know.
I think
if
he went into
start.
isolation just after a few days after we did.
He's out.
So they go to Queen's Park at Firhill, obviously, because that's where they're playing this season. Airdrie have not had a great start to the season, to be fair to them, and I really tipped them to do quite well. They've got a really good squad. They have had COVID issues, injury issues,
referee issues,
absolutely. Queen's Park flying. It's a tough game to predict that.
Queen's Park at home, did you say?
Yeah, but I mean, they don't really have a home, do they? So how much does that make a difference?
Falkirk they play?
Firhill. Yeah. So they're undefeated. The only undefeated team in the league so far, top of the league. But again, Airdrie are a team that would want to be up there. Could kickstart the season to get a positive result here.
A lot of the Queen's Park games have been quite tight as well. They don't concede a lot of goals, and they went.
You know, girls don't like boys. Girls like Simon Murray.
They do, exactly. He's been the difference a lot. So I'm sorry, Sam, but I'm leaning towards Queen's Park in maybe a closer game than some people are expecting. Airdrie as well. They've been scoring goals. They've got some good attacking players as well, so they might cause an upset here, but I can't really see it happening against Queens.
Final game in League One for this weekend. Dumbarton at home to East 5. Dumbarton had a decent start of the season. Good recruitment this summer, Dumbarton. They had some COVID issues at the start, but you know,
seems like everybody's got some COVID issues, isn't it?
It's just horrible.
I think this is just going to be the way for obviously Yanis Hadji as well's tested positive, so he'll be missing for Rangers for a good while.
Yeah,
it's
not great.
It's just going to continue, innit?
Because you've got boys at work.
Yeah.
Boys at work during the week, you know what I mean?
Maybe they're not getting paid.
Yeah. So it's tough. Exactly. That's another thing you don't think about with these lower league players. They could be off working
and not getting
especially
paid.
the self-employed ones.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few of them, like plumbers.
There's a lot of businesses in order on the
lots of them that are playing football as well on the side, and you know, it's the sort of thing you don't realise when you think of professional footballers in this country.
Yeah.
But Dumbarton at home, I'm going to back Dumbarton to win that one. East Fife not had a great start to the season. Looking at that League One, just looking at all the teams in there, every single one of them could hope to be in the playoffs at least. Even Peterhead, who are at bottom, I've heard Cy Ferry talk about he fancied himself.
Yeah, they have had a wee bit of a horror start. They started well, won the first game, and since then
it is such an evenly matched league. But I'm going to go with Dumbarton to win that one. League 2. Let's round it off with League 2.
Let's go. The camera might cut out, so if we do lose you, we'll go audio only on that.
That'll do, but we'll just fire through it. Let's start with the best team in the country, Kelty Hearts. They've got two of the best wingers in the country, Callum Higginbotham and my hero, my mate Joe Cardle, who is on absolute flames, by the way, Super Joe. He is banging them in. Kelty are absolutely flying. They're top of the league, and they are at home to Elgin City this weekend. Elgin, who got a 3-0 win over Dunfermline. I know that wasn't the actual score. I know we love getting beat 3-0, but we had our own COVID international injury issues and all the rest of it.
Where are Elgin sitting in the league?
They are sitting in 6th. 1 win, 2 draws and 2 defeats. So can't look past Kelty though.
Nah,
they're just flying. The quality in that squad, you know, Jamie Bar-Jonas, Callum Higginbotham, Joe Cardle, Nathan Austin, Tam O'Ware. You know, they've got really, really good players all over the park, and players who should be playing in the Championship, quite frankly.
No, definitely.
So I'm backing my boys at Kelty. I might start supporting Kelty.
Yeah, we've got to get something done with Kelty, actually.
I think so too.
Get KT on or something.
Yeah.
You've got a link with Joe Cardle.
We'll sort something with Joe. We need to do something with Joe at the academy as well. I said to him we're going to do that. We'll need to sort that. That could be quite good.
Yeah, definitely.
Kelty we're backing.
Yeah, I've got to go Kelty there. But Jonas is just, as you say, he could be playing at such a high level.
Did you see a few weeks ago the pass for Cardle's goal? He played a wonderful pass. It was just
and that was
brilliant.
the difference, I believe, in the game as well. But I think as well, these players are obviously very talented. They're playing at a division that they probably shouldn't be playing, but they've maybe been sold in the vision of Kelty, and obviously they've got a good budget as well.
Suits Joe, it's local for him.
That's why I was quite surprised at the fact Barry Ferguson moved on, because they had that vision and they remind me of a Cove that have maybe got a wee bit of money and are going to try and kick on, whereas Alloa. Aye, maybe.
But for Kevin Thompson, though, it's a brilliant job.
Brilliant first job for him.
He can stay for 3 years and get him in the Championship. That's what a start that is.
Exactly. So
you think about the young managers that recently have done really, really well that have started in the lower leagues. You think Goodwin, you think Paul Hartley, Jack Ross. You know, if they can do well in these lower leagues,
maybe that's what Barry Ferguson was thinking
Yeah, because
Alloa.
we're all at Alloa. Yeah,
Exactly.
maybe. So that'll be interesting. Let's go into Albion Rovers against Cowdenbeath, a game down the bottom of the league. Sounds pretty dull, to be honest.
I'll go Albion.
Aye, let's go with the Blue Brazil. Why not? We'll go Cowdenbeath. We'll make it a day
How
for
you
the 5
going
teams in League 2. Stirling Albion against Forfar. Stirling Albion, a team that were really tipped to be up there with Kelty this season. Sitting in 4th place just now. Forfar in 3rd. Forfar undefeated. Actually, Kelty not the only undefeated team. They've had 3 draws though Forfar so far. I think they drew with Kelty up at Forfar as well.
Yeah.
But I'm going to back Stirling Albion because I think they will come good. And
I'm going to back Stirling as well because obviously, again, they are my picks for the league.
Nice. Stranraer, your favourite team against Edinburgh City. We're obviously going to back Edinburgh City 5-6-0 for you.
Do you know what? I'm feeling a wee bit.
Only 3-0 this week.
Only 3-0. I'll go
Nice.
for Edinburgh City.
I'll go on Edinburgh City win as well. And finally, Annan Athletic against Stennismuir. Now, Stennismuir put together some squad this summer. I was really impressed with loads of their recruitment, and they're sitting rock bottom of
Bit
League
like Dunfermline,
2.
innit?
Yes, my pre-season picks were dreadful. And Stenny haven't won yet.
And
but
Annan
they
have-
will win this weekend. Annan are up in 2nd,
Mate,
though.
honestly,
They're
right, see the
flying.
Cowden Beef game. Annan were almost 3-1. They won 3-1. I was telling everybody put fucking money
See if
on
you
Annan.
can put a bit of research into the League 2, there's money to be made in those
Oh
leagues.
aye, because they must just go with home advantage and all that.
A lot of the time.
Honestly, they were almost 3-1, and they were sitting 2nd in the league at the time. They ended up winning 3-1.
Despite the fact they've got 10 more points than Stenny, I'm going to back Stenny this weekend. Makes absolutely no sense, but that's what I'm doing.
No,
and
doesn't.
that is the fixtures for this weekend wrapped up.
And that's the show wrapped up.
Lovely show, I've enjoyed that.
1 hour and 16 minutes.
I almost made myself cry talking about Dunfermline, thinking about it. But
Yeah, it started in such a high talking about Scotland. It delved into your
deepest, darkest fears and worries.
yeah.
But hey ho, we move.
And there is the
There's the
camera
camera
away.
So I
There's the
can
show
start
away.
crying freely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gig pod shout about. There's the camera away. But that'll do us.
See you later.
Thanks.
Subscribe.